I'm Daniel Andrade, and I'm dying alone in my apartment. I don't know I'm dying. Not consciously. But my chest hurts. Sharp pain radiating down my left arm. My breathing is shallow and labored. I should call someone. An ambulance. Raphael. Anyone. But I don't. I just sit here on my couch looking at the photo on the coffee table. Sophia and Lucas, 8 and 6, at the beach, smiling, before they knew what I was, before they learned disappointment, before I became the father they stopped waiting for. The pain gets worse, much worse. I close my eyes and think about Marina, about the kids, about the life I built and destroyed with my own hands over 20 years of terrible choices. And I realize this is it. This is how it ends. Alone in an empty apartment with no one to call and no one to hold my hand and no one to say goodbye to. This is what I earned. 20 years of choosing work over family. 20 years of broken promises and missed moments. 20 years of believing I had more time when time was already running out. And now time is up. I should feel panic or regret or desperate to live, but I don't. I just feel tired. Like I've been running for 52 years and I can finally stop running and rest. The pain peaks and everything goes white, then black, then nothing. I wake up, but not in my apartment. Somewhere else, nowhere, everywhere. I don't have a body or form, just consciousness and awareness and memory. And I understand immediately. I'm dead. The heart attack killed me. I died alone on my couch. No one will find me for days, maybe weeks, until a neighbor complains about the smell or someone notices I haven't been seen. That's my ending. Not surrounded by family holding hands saying goodbye. Just alone on a couch with a photo of kids who don't know me anymore. I should feel devastated or cheated or rage against the unfairness, but I don't. Because it's not unfair. It's consequence, exact and precise and earned. I spent 20 years choosing wrong, and this is what that looks like. 2 days pass, and my body sits on the couch, decomposing. The photo's still on the table. The apartment silent. No one calls or comes or notices. On the third day, the neighbor complains about the smell. Building manager comes and opens the door and finds me. Calls the police. They come efficiently and professionally and take photos and make reports and remove my body. I'm just another dead guy. Another heart attack. Another person who died alone. Nothing special or tragic. Just routine. They call Raphael because he's listed as my emergency contact. He answers and goes pale and sits down hard when they tell him. Raphael stares at his phone for a long moment after the call ends. Then he starts crying quietly. Not loud dramatic sobs, but quiet tears for his friend and business partner. The man he watched self-destruct for 15 years. The man he enabled and covered for and couldn't save. He sits there for maybe 10 minutes just processing before he picks up the phone again and calls Marina. She answers on the second ring and he can barely get the words out. Marina, it's Raphael. I have bad news. Daniel died. Heart attack a few days ago. They just found him. There's a long silence on the other end. And then Marina says thank you for letting me know in a calm, steady voice. She asks about funeral arrangements, and Raphael says he'll handle everything. She says that it's probably best and asks if he needs anything from her, and he says no, just please tell the kids. She agrees, and they hang up with polite distance. The distance I created over 20 years. Marina sits at her kitchen table, and Paul, her husband, puts his hand on hers and asks if she's okay. She looks at him with dry eyes and says, I don't know if I'm okay or not. I should feel something, shouldn't I? Sad or devastated or something? But I just feel empty like a chapter ending that I already finished reading years ago. Paul squeezes her hand gently and says you grieved him a long time ago when you left. This is just making it official and final. You don't owe him devastation or tears or anything you don't actually feel. Marina nods slowly and says, I gave him 20 years. I waited and hoped and made excuses and believed he would change. And he didn't. Not until it was too late. Not until we were already gone. So yes, I grieved him years ago. This is just paperwork. She takes a deep breath and picks up her phone to call Sophia. Sophia is at school in class and doesn't answer, so Marina leaves a message. Honey, call me when you get this. It's about your father. Something happened. Sophia calls back an hour later and Marina can hear the concern in her voice. Mom, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Marina says as gently as she can. Sophia, your father passed away. Heart attack a few days ago. They just found him today. There's a long pause and then Sophia says okay in a flat voice. Just okay, Marina asks. Are you all right, sweetheart? Do you need me to come there? Sophia says no. I'm okay, I think. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now. Should I be devastated? Should I be crying? Because I'm not. I'm just empty. Marina's heart breaks a little hearing her daughter's confusion and she says, oh, honey, you're allowed to feel however you feel. There's no should in this. You grieved your father years ago when we left, when he chose work over us for the 1,000th time, when you realized he was never going to change. This is just the final punctuation on something that ended a long time ago. Sophia's voice cracks a little when she says so. I'm not a terrible person for not crying, for not feeling devastated? Marina says firmly. No, baby, you're not terrible. You're honest. You're protecting yourself. You already spent years mourning the father you deserved but never had. You don't have to mourn him again now. Sophia asks about the funeral and Marina says it's Friday. You can go if you want to, but only if it helps you. Not because you think you should or because of obligation. Only if you need it for closure. Sophia says I'll think about it and let you know. They talk for a few more minutes about logistics and feelings before hanging up. Sophia sits in her apartment staring at nothing, trying to process. Then she pulls out her phone and texts Lucas. Dad died. Heart attack a few days ago. Found him today. Funeral Friday. Lucas responds an hour later with just okay. Sophia stares at the one-word response and texts back, that's it? Just okay? Lucas replies, what else is there to say? He's dead. We already said goodbye years ago. This changes nothing. Sophia types, are you going to the funeral? Lucas answers no. Are you? Sophia responds, I don't know. Why would we go? To say goodbye? Lucas texts back. We already said goodbye when we left, when we stopped waiting for him to show up, when we accepted he would never be the father we needed. This is just bureaucracy, just making official what's been true for years. He made his choices, we made ours. Now he's gone. That's it. Sophia puts her phone down and tries to feel something, anything, sadness or grief, or even relief. But there's just emptiness, like a book closing, a chapter ending. Nothing dramatic or devastating, just done and finished and over. She thinks about all the years of waiting, all the broken promises, all the times she stood by the window watching for his car that didn't come, all the birthdays he missed, all the recitals he skipped, all the ordinary moments he chose to miss because work was more important. And she realizes Lucas is right. They already grieved, already said goodbye, already accepted his absence. This just makes it permanent. I watch all of this from nowhere and everywhere. Watch the people I love process my death with distance and detachment and relief. And I understand completely. This is what I earned. Not grief or devastation or heartbreak. Just polite acknowledgement and bureaucratic processing and minimal disruption to their lives. I'm gone and life continues barely interrupted. That's my legacy. Not the buildings or awards, the barely noticeable absence. The death that changes nothing because my presence changed nothing. I was already gone for years. This just makes it permanent and official. Raphael arranges everything because no one else will. Simple funeral. Nothing elaborate or expensive. He calls Dr. Chen, my therapist, and tells him what happened. Dr. Chen is quiet for a long moment and then says, I'm sorry, Raphael. I know you cared about him. Raphael says I did. I watched him destroy himself for 15 years and I did nothing to stop it. That makes me complicit. Dr. Chen says you tried in the end. You changed the firm, you set boundaries. You showed him a different way. Raphael says, but it wasn't enough. He still died alone. Dr. Chen says sometimes that's just consequence. Sometimes people run out of time before they finish changing. That's what happened to Daniel. He was changing genuinely, but time ran out. Raphael calls the community college where I taught and speaks to my department head. She's shocked and sad and asks what happened. Raphael explains about the heart attack and dying alone, and she says that's terrible. He was a good teacher. The students loved him. He really cared about them, about warning them not to make his mistakes. Raphael agrees and says the funeral is Friday if any students want to come. She says she'll let them know and spreads the word. Only 2 students show up, Emily and Marcus, the ones I impacted most, the ones who actually listened. 6 people come to my funeral. Raphael, Marina, Sophia, Dr. Chen, Emily, Marcus. That's it. 6 people in a mostly empty funeral home with generic music and generic flowers and generic everything. Because there's nothing specific to say or celebrate. Just a life that happened and ended without much notice. Raphael speaks first and his voice is steady but sad. He says Daniel Andrade was my best friend and business partner for 15 years. He was brilliant and driven and completely obsessed with achievement, and that obsession destroyed him. Destroyed his marriage, destroyed his relationship with his kids, destroyed everything that actually mattered. I enabled him. I covered for him. I made excuses for him. I watched him choose wrong for 15 years and I said nothing, did nothing. Made it easy for him to destroy his family. And I regret that deeply. I should have confronted him sooner. Should have forced him to face what he was doing. Should have been a better friend instead of a convenient partner. Raphael pauses and looks at the casket. But he did change. In the end, after he lost everything, he went to therapy, cut back work, started teaching, became someone genuinely different. Someone who showed up and kept promises and cared about people. But it was too late. His family was gone. His kids didn't want him. He died alone trying to figure out who he was without his achievements. And that's tragic. Not because he didn't change, but because he changed too late. Because transformation doesn't undo decades of damage. Because some things once broken can't be repaired. Only grieved. He sits down and wipes his eyes. Emily stands up next. Young and nervous and genuine. She says my name is Emily Chen, and Professor Andrade taught me Introduction to Architecture last semester. He was the best teacher I ever had. Not because he was brilliant, although he was, but because he actually cared. About us, about our futures, about warning us not to make his mistakes. He told us on the first day, don't sacrifice everything for success. Don't believe achievements matter more than people. Don't make the mistakes I made. Don't end up like me. At first I thought he was just old and bitter and cynical, but then I got to know him and I realized he was honest, brutally honest, about his failures, about what he'd lost, about the cost of choosing wrong for 20 years. And it changed me. It made me turn down a prestigious internship that would have consumed my life. Made me choose balance over achievement. Made me choose presence over prestige. Because of him. Because he warned me. Because his failure taught me. So thank you, Professor Andrade, for being honest, for warning us, for letting your mistakes become our lessons. She sits down crying softly. No one else speaks. The room is silent and heavy and uncomfortable. Then it's over. The director invites everyone to a reception, but no one goes. Everyone just leaves quietly and returns to their lives barely disrupted. I watch Marina drive home with Paul. She's quiet and he asks gently if she's okay. She says, I think so. I'm sad but not devastated. I grieved him years ago when I left. When I accepted, he would never change. This just makes it final. Paul nods and says, that's healthy. That's boundaries. That's you protecting yourself after giving him 20 years. Marina says sometimes I wonder if I gave up too soon. If I should have stayed longer, given him more chances. Paul reaches over and takes her hand. You gave him 20 years, Marina. 20 years of chances, of waiting, of hoping, of making excuses. That's not giving up too soon. That's staying way longer than most people would have. She squeezes his hand back and says, "Thank you for reminding me." I watch Sophia sit in her car in the parking lot after the funeral. She doesn't start the engine or drive away, just sits there staring at nothing, processing everything. Her boyfriend James calls and asks how she's doing. Sophia says, "I don't know how I'm doing. I went to my father's funeral and I didn't cry." There were 6 people there, James. 6. After 52 years of life. Doesn't that seem impossibly sad? James says it does seem sad, but it's also consequence. He chose work over people for decades. He chose achievement over relationships. He chose to be alone. This is just what that choice looks like at the end. Sophia says, "I know you're right, but part of me still feels guilty. Like I should have tried harder. Should have given him more chances. Should have been more forgiving." James is quiet for a moment and then says, "Sophia, you were 10 years old when you started realizing your father was never going to show up. You spent your entire childhood waiting for him, hoping he'd change, believing the next promise would be different. And he disappointed you over and over and over. You don't owe him more chances. You don't owe him forgiveness. You don't owe him anything except honesty about how his absence affected you. And you've been honest. You set boundaries. You protected yourself. That's not cruel. That's survival." Sophia starts crying then. Not for her father, but for herself. For the little girl who waited by the window. For the teenager who made excuses for him. For the young woman who finally accepted he would never change. James stays on the line and lets her cry and says, "I'm here whenever you're ready. Come over. I'll make dinner. We'll just be together." Sophia says, "Okay. Thank you. I'll be there soon." I watch Lucas at Stanford in his research lab. He got the text about my death and read it and set his phone down and went back to work without missing a beat, because I was already gone from his life. My death changes nothing. His girlfriend Emma comes in and sees him working and says, "Hey, I thought you had family stuff today. Your father's funeral." Lucas doesn't look up from his microscope. I didn't go. Emma walks over and puts her hand on his shoulder. "Do you want to talk about it?" Lucas finally looks up and his face is neutral, empty. He says there's nothing to talk about. My father died. I didn't go to the funeral because we hadn't had a real relationship in over a decade. He made his choices. I made mine. Now he's dead and my life continues exactly as it was. Emma sits down next to him. "That seems really cold, Lucas. He's still your father. Doesn't that mean something?" Lucas puts down what he's holding and looks at her directly. "Let me tell you about my father, Emma. When I was 12 years old, I started keeping a notebook. Every time he broke a promise, I wrote it down. Date, promise, failure. I documented 127 broken promises before I stopped, before we left, before I decided he wasn't worth documenting anymore, because I already had all the evidence I needed about who he was. He missed my childhood, every important moment, every birthday, every game, every ordinary Tuesday when I just wanted him to be there for dinner. He chose work every single time. So no, Emma, him being my father doesn't mean something. It means nothing. Because he decided it meant nothing when I was a kid, when it actually mattered, when I needed him." Emma is quiet and then says, "I'm sorry. I didn't know it was that bad." Lucas says most people don't. They hear absent father and they think he missed some stuff. They don't understand it was everything. Every single thing that mattered. He wasn't just absent. He was actively choosing to be absent, actively deciding that everything else was more important than us. That's different than a father who wants to be there but can't. My father could have been there. He chose not to be. Emma asks, "Did he ever apologize? Did he ever try to make it right?" Lucas says, "Yeah. After my mom left him. After we were already gone. He went to therapy, changed his behavior. became someone different, but it was too late. We were done. He could have transformed into a perfect father, and it wouldn't have mattered because we didn't want him anymore. We'd already mourned him, already moved on, already built lives without him. Emma asks, "Do you regret not going to the funeral? Not saying goodbye one last time?" Lucas thinks about this and then says no. I don't regret it. I said goodbye years ago when I closed that notebook. When I accepted he would never be the father I needed. Going to his funeral would have been performative, pretending we had a relationship we didn't have. I'm not interested in performance. I'm interested in honesty. And honestly, my father was a stranger who happened to share my DNA. His death doesn't devastate me because his life didn't include me. Emma nods slowly and says, "Okay, I understand. Thank you for explaining." Lucas goes back to his work, and Emma stays with him in quiet support. I watch Raphael clean out my apartment a week later. He's methodical and efficient, packing my things into boxes, books, clothes, papers. The photo of Sophia and Lucas at the beach. He finds my journal, the one where I documented my therapy journey. He sits on the floor and reads several entries and cries. One entry from a year ago says I came home today and the house was empty. Marina and the kids are gone. Everything is gone. I stood in that hallway and couldn't breathe. They actually left. I thought I had more time, thought I could finish the house and prove I could change. But time ran out. They're gone and I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am without them, without work, without achievement. I've spent 50 years building an identity around being exceptional, and now I have to figure out who I am when I'm just ordinary. Raphael reads another entry from 6 months ago. Marina is engaged to Paul, a guy from her book club. She sent me an email, very polite, very formal, letting me know before she tells the kids. I should feel devastated, but mostly I just feel numb and strange and kind of relieved. Relieved that she found someone who shows up, who's present, who chooses her. I chose work for 20 years. I chose achievement over her. I chose wrong every single time. And now she's marrying someone who chose right. Good. She deserves that. She deserved it 20 years ago. I just couldn't give it to her. Raphael closes the journal and puts it carefully in a box. He labels the boxes with my name and the date and takes them to a storage unit he rented. Everything I owned fits in 4 boxes. 52 years of life. 4 boxes. That's it. Raphael sits in the empty apartment one last time before turning in the keys. He looks around at the bare walls and empty rooms and says out loud to no one, "This is so incredibly sad, Daniel. You lived here for 2 years, and you didn't hang a single picture. Didn't paint the walls, didn't make it a home. You were just camping, just waiting for something, for them to come back maybe, for your life to start. But it never did. You just existed here, and then you died here alone. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't push harder. I'm sorry I enabled you for so long. I'm sorry you ran out of time." He locks the door and leaves and doesn't look back. I watch Dr. Chen in his office writing final notes in my file. He writes patient demonstrated genuine transformation over 3 years of intensive therapy. Took complete responsibility for past failures. Changed behavior significantly. Became present in new roles teaching and volunteering. However, transformation came too late to repair primary relationships. Patient died alone due to heart attack approximately 3 years into therapeutic journey. No prior medical intervention despite multiple recommendations to seek care for physical symptoms. In retrospect, patient succeeded in therapeutic goals of self-awareness and behavioral change, but could not undo decades of relational damage. His death, while tragic, serves as important clinical lesson about timing. Change is always possible, but reconciliation is not guaranteed. Some damage once done cannot be repaired, only grieved and learned from. Dr. Chen closes the file and sits quietly for a long moment. Then he pulls out a piece of paper and starts writing a letter. "Dear Daniel, even though you're gone, I need to say this. You were one of my most challenging and most important patients. You did everything I asked. You showed up consistently. You did the hard work of examining yourself honestly. You changed genuinely, and you still lost everything. That haunts me, not because you failed therapeutically, you didn't. You succeeded completely in becoming someone different, but because therapeutic success didn't translate to relational restoration. Your family was already too far gone, too hurt, too done, and no amount of change on your part could undo that. I wish I had pushed you harder earlier. Wish I had insisted you see a doctor about your symptoms. Wish I had more time to help you build something new. But time ran out. And now you're gone. And all I can do is use your story to help others, to warn them, to push them to change sooner, to not wait until it's too late. So thank you, Daniel, for trusting me, for doing the work, for being honest even when it hurt. Your transformation mattered even though it came too late. I'll make sure others learn from it. Rest well. Dr. Chen seals the letter and puts it in my file. I watched Sophia 2 months after my death. She's in her therapist's office, Dr. Patel, processing everything. Dr. Patel asks, "How are you feeling about your father's death now that some time has passed?" Sophia says honestly, "I still feel mostly empty. Like there should be more feeling, but there isn't. I'm not sad exactly, not relieved exactly, just kind of neutral like a chapter I already finished closing officially." Dr. Patel says that's a very common response when we've already done significant grieving before someone dies. You mourned your father years ago when you were a child, realizing he wasn't going to be present. You've been grieving him your whole life. This is just the final punctuation. Sophia nods and says I read his letters. The ones he wrote me but never sent. 52 of them. One for every week of his last year. Dr. Patel asks, "How was that? Reading them?" Sophia says devastating and healing at the same time. They were so honest. He took complete responsibility, didn't make excuses, just owned what he did, what he didn't do, what he lost. He said he loved me and was proud of me and understood why I kept my distance. He said he didn't expect forgiveness, just wanted me to know he changed, even though I'd never see it. Dr. Patel asks, "Do you believe he changed?" Sophia says yes. "I do." Raphael confirmed it. My dad's therapist confirmed it. The students he taught confirmed it. He genuinely transformed, became someone completely different, someone present and caring and committed. Dr. Patel asks, "How does it feel knowing he changed, but you never got to experience it?" Sophia is quiet for a long time and then says it feels like the saddest thing in the world, that he finally became the father I always wanted, but it was too late. We were already gone, already done, already moved on. His transformation was genuine, but it was for himself, not for us. We didn't benefit from it. We didn't get to experience it. We just got letters explaining it after he was dead. Dr. Patel says that's profoundly sad, and also important, because it shows that change is possible, but timing matters. Your father changed, really changed, but he changed after you and Lucas and your mother had already left emotionally, after you'd already grieved and moved on. Change doesn't entitle someone to forgiveness or restoration. It just means they're different. Sophia says exactly. He was different, but we were done. And that's just reality. Sad reality, but reality. I watched Lucas 6 months after my death. He's at a bookstore browsing the architecture section when he sees one of my buildings on a book cover, the Meridian Tower, one of my most famous designs. He picks up the book and flips through it. There's a whole chapter about the tower, about the innovative design, about the awards it won, about me. The architect Daniel Andrade, known for his uncompromising vision and tireless work ethic. Lucas stares at that phrase, uncompromising vision and tireless work ethic. That's how they describe destroying a family, as vision and work ethic. He puts the book back and walks away. I watch Sophia 1 year after my death. She's finished her bachelor's degree and is starting graduate school in clinical psychology. She's specializing in family therapy, in working with children of absent parents. Her first practicum placement is at a family counseling center. Her first client is a 12-year-old girl named Maya. Maya's father works constantly, travels frequently, misses everything important. Maya keeps a journal where she documents every missed event, every broken promise, every disappointment. Sophia sees the journal and her heart breaks. She asks Maya, "Can I see what you're writing?" Maya hesitates and then hands over the journal. Sophia reads through it. Entry after entry. Dad promised to come to my soccer game. Didn't show up. Had a work emergency. Dad said he'd take me to the movies. Canceled last minute. Client dinner. Dad was supposed to help with my science project. Too tired from traveling. Said we'd do it this weekend. We didn't. Sophia counts. 73 entries. Maya is 12. 73 documented disappointments. Just like Lucas's notebook. Just like her own childhood. Sophia looks at Maya gently. This must be really painful, keeping track like this. Maya shrugs and says, I don't know why I do it. It's not like it changes anything. My dad is who he is. Sophia says I kept track too when I was your age. Not in a journal, but in my head. Every missed birthday, every broken promise, every time he chose work over me. I understand why you do it. You're documenting, creating evidence, proving to yourself that you're not crazy, that it's really happening, that you're really being deprioritized. Maya looks up with tears in her eyes. Yes, exactly that. Everyone says my dad loves me, that he's just busy, that he's providing for us, but it doesn't feel like love. It feels like I don't matter. Sophia's voice is soft and kind. You do matter, Maya. You matter so much. Your father is making bad choices, really bad choices. But that's about him, not about you. You're not the problem. His priorities are the problem. Sophia asks, would you be okay if I met with your parents? With your dad specifically? Maya says, sure, but it won't help. He doesn't listen. He doesn't change. He just makes excuses. Sophia says, let me try. Maya agrees, and Sophia sets up a meeting. Maya's father, David, comes in defensive and busy, checking his phone, clearly wanting this to be quick. Sophia says, thank you for coming, David. I know you're busy. David says, yeah, I am. I have a meeting in an hour. Can we make this quick? Sophia says this will take as long as it takes. Your daughter needs you. David sighs. I'm here, aren't I? I'm providing for her. She has everything she needs. Sophia says, except you, except your presence, except your time. David says, I'm doing the best I can. Balancing work and family is hard. Sophia says, you're not balancing. You're choosing, and you're choosing work every single time. David gets defensive. That's not fair. I have responsibilities, financial obligations, a career, Sophia says, and you have a daughter who's documenting every time you disappoint her, who's keeping a journal of broken promises, who's 12 years old and already learning that she doesn't matter to you. David goes pale. What journal? Sophia shows him. 73 entries. Every broken promise, every missed event, every time he chose work. David reads through it, and his hands start shaking. I didn't know. I didn't realize it was this bad. Sophia says that's because you're not paying attention. You're too busy working, too busy achieving, too busy building a career to notice you're destroying your relationship with your daughter. David asks, what do I do? How do I fix this? Sophia leans forward. You set boundaries. You go home on time. You keep your promises. You show up. You be there. You choose her. Consistently. Not once or twice, but every time. You prove through actions, not words, that she matters more than work. Can you do that? David is quiet for a long time and then says, I don't know if I can. My job requires. Sophia cuts him off. Your job requires what you allow it to require. You've been saying yes to everything, working every weekend, taking every project, traveling constantly. You can say no. You can set limits. You can choose differently. The question is, will you? Or will you keep choosing wrong until Maya stops hoping? Until she stops writing in that journal because she already has enough evidence? Until she's an adult who doesn't talk to you because she learned young that you're not reliable? David says when you put it like that. Sophia says that's reality, David. That's where you're heading. That's what happens when you prioritize wrong for years. You lose them, and by the time you realize it, it's too late. They're already gone emotionally, already done, already grieving you while you're still alive. Is that? I watched Sophia 1 year after my death. She's finished her bachelor's degree and is starting graduate school in clinical psychology. She's specializing in family therapy, in working with children of absent parents. Her first practicum placement is at a family counseling center. Her first client is a 12-year-old girl named Maya. Maya's father works constantly, travels frequently, misses everything important. Maya keeps a journal where she documents every missed event, every broken promise, every disappointment. Sophia sees the journal and her heart breaks. She asks Maya, "Can I see what you're writing?" Maya hesitates and then hands over the journal. Sophia reads through it. Entry after entry. Dad promised to come to my soccer game. Didn't show up. Had a work emergency. Dad said he'd take me to the movies. Canceled last minute. Client dinner. Dad was supposed to help with my science project. Too tired from traveling. Said we'd do it this weekend. We didn't. Sophia counts. 73 entries. Maya is 12. 73 documented disappointments. Just like Lucas's notebook. Just like her own childhood. Sophia looks at Maya gently. This must be really painful, keeping track like this. Maya shrugs and says, I don't know why I do it. It's not like it changes anything. My dad is who he is. Sophia says I kept track too when I was your age. Not in a journal, but in my head. Every missed birthday, every broken promise, every time he chose work over me. I understand why you do it. You're documenting, creating evidence, proving to yourself that you're not crazy, that it's really happening, that you're really being deprioritized. Maya looks up with tears in her eyes. Yes, exactly that. Everyone says my dad loves me, that he's just busy, that he's providing for us, but it doesn't feel like love. It feels like I don't matter. Sophia's voice is soft and kind. You do matter, Maya. You matter so much. Your father is making bad choices, really bad choices. But that's about him, not about you. You're not the problem. His priorities are the problem. Sophia asks, would you be okay if I met with your parents? With your dad specifically? Maya says, sure, but it won't help. He doesn't listen. He doesn't change. He just makes excuses. Sophia says, let me try. Maya agrees, and Sophia sets up a meeting. Maya's father, David, comes in defensive and busy, checking his phone, clearly wanting this to be quick. Sophia says, thank you for coming, David. I know you're busy. David says, yeah, I am. I have a meeting in an hour. Can we make this quick? Sophia says this will take as long as it takes. Your daughter needs you. David sighs. I'm here, aren't I? I'm providing for her. She has everything she needs. Sophia says, except you, except your presence, except your time. David says, I'm doing the best I can. Balancing work and family is hard. Sophia says, you're not balancing. You're choosing, and you're choosing work every single time. David gets defensive. That's not fair. I have responsibilities, financial obligations, a career, Sophia says, and you have a daughter who's documenting every time you disappoint her, who's keeping a journal of broken promises, who's 12 years old and already learning that she doesn't matter to you. David goes pale. What journal? Sophia shows him. 73 entries. Every broken promise, every missed event, every time he chose work. David reads through it, and his hands start shaking. I didn't know. I didn't realize it was this bad. Sophia says that's because you're not paying attention. You're too busy working, too busy achieving, too busy building a career to notice you're destroying your relationship with your daughter. David asks, "What do I do? How do I fix this?" Sophia leans forward. "You set boundaries. You go home on time. You keep your promises. You show up. You be there. You choose her. Consistently. Not once or twice, but every time. You prove through actions, not words, that she matters more than work. Can you do that?" David is quiet for a long time and then says, "I don't know if I can. My job requires." Sophia cuts him off. "Your job requires what you allow it to require. You've been saying yes to everything, working every weekend, taking every project, traveling constantly. You can say no. You can set limits. You can choose differently. The question is, will you? Or will you keep choosing wrong until Maya stops hoping? Until she stops writing in that journal because she already has enough evidence? Until she's an adult who doesn't talk to you because she learned young that you're not reliable?" David says when you put it like that. Sophia says that's reality, David. That's where you're heading. That's what happens when you prioritize wrong for years. You lose them, and by the time you realize it, it's too late. They're already gone emotionally, already done, already grieving you while you're still alive. Is that what you want? David shakes his head slowly. "No, God, no. I don't want that. I don't want to lose her." Sophia says then, "You need to change. Today. Not next week. Not after this project. Today. Right now. Go home. Cancel your meeting. Sit down with Maya and apologize. Tell her you're going to do better. Then actually do better. Show up. Keep promises. Be there. Prove it through actions." David asks, "What if I fail? What if I mess up?" Sophia says you will mess up. You're human. But the difference is you acknowledge it. You apologize. You recommit. You keep showing up. Consistency matters more than perfection. Maya doesn't need a perfect father. She needs a present one. Can you be that? David looks at the journal again. 73 entries. His daughter's careful handwriting documenting his failures. He starts crying. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I was so focused on work, on providing, on building security. I didn't realize I was losing her." Sophia says now you know. Now you have a choice. Keep going the way you've been going and lose her completely, or change now while there's still time, while she still hopes, while she still wants you. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until she's an adult who doesn't return your calls. Don't wait until you die alone wondering where everyone went. Change now. David nods and wipes his eyes. Okay. Okay, I'll change. I'll do whatever it takes. Thank you. Thank you for showing me this, for making me see. Sophia says, "Don't thank me. Thank Maya. She's the one who kept track, who documented, who held on to hope long enough for you to wake up. Go home and tell her." David leaves immediately, and Sophia sits alone in her office crying. She just saved a family. She just prevented another Lucas, another Sophia, another Maya growing up with an absent father. She did that, using lessons from her own absent father, using pain from her own childhood, turning wound into wisdom. I watch all of this and I feel something. Not pride because I don't deserve pride, but satisfaction maybe, or acceptance. Sophia became a healer because I was broken. Lucas became a present father because I was absent. Raphael became a boundary setter because I had none. Dr. Chen became more confrontational because I changed too late. Emily chose balance because I didn't. My failure created all of this. All these positive changes. All these saved families. All these different choices. That's legacy, not what I built, what I prevented, not what I achieved, what I taught through failing. I watched Lucas 2 years after my death. Emma is pregnant. They're having a daughter. They're sitting at their kitchen table talking about names and nurseries and futures. Lucas suddenly gets quiet and Emma asks, "What's wrong?" Lucas says, "I'm terrified." Emma asks of what? Lucas says, "Of becoming him, of becoming my father, of working too much, of missing things, of being absent." of dying alone, having built everything except a relationship with my daughter. Emma reaches across and takes both his hands. Lucas, you're not going to become him. You're already different. You work 40 hours a week. You're here every evening. You choose presents. You've made completely different choices. Lucas says, but what if it's genetic? What if I can't help it? What if I start sliding back into old patterns? What if ambition takes over? What if I lose everything like he did? Emma squeezes his hands tighter. Listen to me. You're aware. You're questioning. You're scared. Your father wasn't any of those things. He didn't question. He didn't worry about becoming absent. He just was absent. He believed work mattered most. You know different. You know presence matters. You know showing up matters. You know relationships matter. That's the difference. That awareness, that fear, that commitment to being different. Lucas says, how do you know I won't fail? Emma says, I don't. You might struggle, you might slip sometimes, but you'll catch yourself. You'll recommit. You'll keep choosing us. I've watched you do it for 3 years now. Every day choosing differently than your father chose. That's who you are. That's who you'll be for our daughter. Lucas is quiet and then says, I want her to know me. Really know me. I want her to have memories of me at her games, at her recitals, at ordinary dinners. I want her to feel chosen, to feel like she matters, to never doubt that I'm there. Emma smiles. Then you'll do that. You'll show up. You'll be there. You'll choose her every day, every moment, every decision. Lucas says I'm going to be so different from him, so completely opposite. Our daughter will never keep a notebook of broken promises. Will never wonder if she matters. Will never grieve me while I'm still alive. Emma says no, she won't, because you're breaking the cycle. You're being the father you needed, the father your father couldn't be. That's huge, Lucas. That's everything. Lucas puts his hand on Emma's belly. He says, I promise you, little one. I promise I'll be there. I'll show up. I'll choose you. I'll be present. I'll keep my promises. I'll be the father my father wasn't. You'll know me. Really know me. And I'll know you. And that matters more than any achievement, more than any award, more than any career. You matter most. Emma cries happy tears and says she's so lucky to have you as her father. Lucas says I'm the lucky one. Because I got the warning. Because I saw what happens when you choose wrong. Because my father's failure taught me how to succeed at what actually matters. I watch this and I understand fully. Lucas is using my failure as his foundation, my absence as his motivation, my death as his commitment. He's building everything I didn't, everything I couldn't, everything I failed to build, and he's doing it because of me, because I showed him what not to do. That's legacy. Backwards legacy, negative space legacy, but legacy nonetheless. I watch Raphael 3 years after my death. He's retired now, 62, spending time with his family. His daughter Maya is 15 now. They have dinner together every night, talk about school, friends, life, normal things, present things. Maya says, Dad, can I ask you something about Uncle Daniel? Raphael tenses slightly, but says, of course. What do you want to know? Maya says you talk about him sometimes when you give speeches, about how he died alone, about how he made bad choices. Was he really that bad? Or are you exaggerating to make a point? Raphael thinks carefully about how to answer. He says Daniel wasn't bad, Maya. He was brilliant, talented, driven. But he made terrible choices. He prioritized work over everything. Over his wife, over his kids, over his health, over his life. And those choices cost him everything. He lost his family, died alone, had 6 people at his funeral. That's not exaggeration, that's just what happened. Maya asks, did you try to help him? Did you tell him he was making bad choices? Raphael's face falls. I didn't. Not for a long time. I enabled him, covered for him, made excuses, made it easy for him to keep choosing wrong. I was a bad friend. I prioritized our business partnership over his well-being. and I regret that deeply. I should have confronted him sooner, should have forced him to face what he was doing, should have made it harder for him to destroy his family. But I didn't. And by the time I did, it was too late. He'd already lost them. Maya asks, "So you feel guilty?" Raphael says every day. I carry that guilt every day. But I use it. I use it to push others, to confront earlier, to not let people slide into the same patterns. I speak at conferences. I tell Daniel's story. I warn young architects not to make his mistakes. That's how I honor him, by making his failure mean something. Maya says that's sad, but also kind of beautiful, that his failure became a lesson for so many people. Raphael nods. Yeah, it is. Daniel died alone, but his story lives surrounded, connected, teaching, preventing, saving families. That's redemption of a sort, not his redemption, but redemption through him, his absence teaching presence, his failure teaching success, his death teaching life. Maya asks, "Do you miss him?" Raphael says every day. He was my best friend for 15 years. We built something together. We had history. But I also miss who he could have been. The friend he could have been if he'd chosen differently. The father he could have been. The husband. The human. I miss the potential that was wasted. The life that was thrown away for achievements that didn't matter. Maya says, "I'm glad you're not like him, Dad. I'm glad you're here. That you show up. That you choose us." Raphael hugs her. "Me too, Maya. Me too. I learned from Daniel's mistakes. I saw where that path leads, and I chose differently, before it was too late, before I lost you and your mom. That's Daniel's gift to me, the warning that saved my family." Maya says then maybe his life wasn't wasted. Maybe it mattered, just not the way he wanted. Raphael says exactly. It mattered. Just differently. Just backwards. Just as a cautionary tale instead of a triumph. But it mattered. And that's something. I watched Dr. Chen 5 years after my death. He's writing his memoir, a whole chapter about me, about my case, about transformation that came too late. He writes Daniel Andrade walked into my office 3 years before his death, broken, devastated. His wife had left. His kids wanted nothing to do with him. He asked if I could help him get them back. I told him no. I couldn't help him get them back, but I could help him become someone who wouldn't lose them again. He committed to the work, 3 sessions per week for 3 years. Never missed once, never gave up, never made excuses. He examined his patterns, his choices, his failures. He took complete responsibility. No denial, no blame, no rationalization, just honest, brutal self-examination. And he changed, actually changed, genuinely transformed. He cut back work, started teaching, began volunteering, became present and engaged and committed. He became a completely different person. Dr. Chen continues writing. But his family didn't come back. His wife remarried. His daughter kept polite distance. His son wouldn't speak to him. His transformation was real, but it came too late. The damage was already done. The trust was already broken. The relationships were already over. And then he died. Heart attack, alone. I got the call from his business partner, patient deceased. I sat in my office and cried. Not because he failed therapeutically. He didn't. He succeeded completely. But because therapeutic success doesn't guarantee relational restoration. Some things once broken cannot be repaired, only grieved, only learned from, only used as warnings for others. That's what haunts me about Daniel's case. Not that he didn't change, but that he changed too late. That transformation isn't enough if it comes after everyone's already gone. Dr. Chen writes his conclusion. Daniel Andrade's legacy is complicated. He died alone, failed as a husband and father, lost everything that mattered. But his story has saved hundreds, maybe thousands. I use his case in teaching, in supervision, in conferences. I tell young therapists push harder, confront sooner. Don't let patients wait until it's too late. Intervene aggressively, create urgency, because time runs out. People die, opportunities close, and transformation that comes too late is just personal growth happening in isolation. It's better than nothing. But it's not redemption. It's not restoration. It's just someone dying different than they lived. Daniel died different, changed, aware, responsible, but still alone. That's tragedy, but it's also teaching. His failure teaches what success never could. That timing matters. That change is always possible, but reconciliation isn't guaranteed. That some consequences are permanent, that you need to choose right now, while people still want you, while there's still time. Don't be Daniel. Learn from Daniel. But don't be Daniel. That's his legacy, the cautionary tale that keeps on teaching. I watched Sophia 5 years after my death. She's 28 now. Finished her PhD, licensed therapist. She has her own practice specializing in family therapy. She has 40 clients, mostly children of absent parents, mostly families in crisis because one parent works too much. She saves most of them. 43 families last year. 43 fathers who were heading down my path, who were working constantly, missing everything, believing achievement mattered most. She showed them where that path leads, showed them my story, showed them the funeral with 6 people. Most of them changed, actually changed, went home, set boundaries, became present, saved their families. Sophia is working with a new client. Father named Marcus, works 80 hours a week, travels constantly. His wife Rebecca is threatening to leave. Their son Aaron is 8 and already detached. Marcus sits in Sophia's office defensive and exhausted. He says, "I'm doing my best. I'm providing, building security, giving them everything they need." Sophia says, "Accept you, accept your presence, accept your time." Marcus says, "That's not fair. I have responsibilities." Sophia pulls out a photo. My father's funeral, 6 people in an empty room. She shows it to Marcus. This is what happens when you prioritize wrong for 20 years, when you choose achievement over presence, when you believe you have more time. 6 people, at a funeral, after 52 years of life. That's where you're heading. Marcus stares at the photo. "Who is this?" Sophia says, "My father, Daniel Andrade. Brilliant architect, won every award, built iconic buildings. Died alone at 52. His wife remarried. His kids don't talk to him. I barely knew him. He was a stranger who happened to be my biological father, and at his funeral 6 people came. That's his legacy. Not his buildings, the empty funeral, the absent father, the man who changed too late." Marcus asks, "Too late? What do you mean?" Sophia says he changed. After we left, after my mom divorced him, after we made it clear we were done, he went to therapy, transformed completely, became present and caring and committed. But it was too late. We didn't want him anymore. We'd already grieved him, already moved on, already built lives without him. His transformation was genuine, but we didn't benefit from it. We just got letters after he died explaining it. Marcus is pale now. Letters. Sophia says 52 letters, 1 for every week of his last year. Apologies, explanations, regrets, taking responsibility, saying he loved us. All written but never sent, because he knew we didn't want to hear it. He wrote them for himself, to process, to document his transformation. And we got them after he was dead, after it was too late for them to matter. Marcus asks, "Did you forgive him?" Sophia says no. I didn't. He doesn't need my forgiveness. He's dead, and forgiveness wouldn't change anything, wouldn't undo my childhood, wouldn't give me back the father I deserved, wouldn't make him less of a stranger. He made his choices. I made mine. His death just made it final. Marcus sits back, looking shaken. I don't want that. I don't want to be that. I don't want my son to barely know me. I don't want my wife to leave. I don't want 6 people at my funeral. Sophia leans forward, then change. Now. Today. Not next week. Not after this project. Now. Go home. Tell Rebecca you're sorry. Tell Aaron you're going to be different. Then actually be different. Set boundaries. Work 40 hours. No more. Be home for dinner every night. Keep your promises. Show up. Choose them. Consistently. Prove through actions that they matter more than work. Can you do that? Marcus says, I don't know if I can. My job, my career, my obligations. Sophia cuts him off. Your job is what you make it. Your career will survive boundaries. Your obligations are negotiable. Your family isn't. You're choosing Marcus. Every day, every moment, every decision. You're choosing work or family, achievement or presence, building a career or building relationships. And right now you're choosing wrong. You're heading toward my father's funeral, toward dying alone, toward having kids who don't know you and a wife who remarries and 6 people showing up because no one else cared. Is that what you want? Marcus shakes his head, tears in his eyes. No. God, no. That's not what I want. Sophia says, then choose differently. Starting right now. This moment, walk out of here, cancel your meetings, go home. Sit down with your family, apologize, commit, change. Then keep changing every day for the rest of your life. That's the work. Not one decision, but daily decisions, daily choices, daily presence. Marcus asks, what if I slip? What if I mess up? Sophia says you will. You're human. But you acknowledge it. You recommit. You keep showing up. Consistency matters more than perfection. Your family doesn't need a perfect father and husband. They need a present one. Can you be that? Marcus nods slowly. Yes. I can be that. I will be that. Thank you. Thank you for showing me, for warning me, for giving me the chance to change before it's too late. Sophia says, don't thank me. Thank my father. His failure is teaching you. His death is warning you. His absence is creating your presence. Use it. Learn from it. Be different because of it. Marcus leaves and Sophia sits alone processing. She just saved another family, used my story, used my failure, used my death. To create life, to create presence, to create change. That's my legacy working through her. I watch Lucas 5 years after my death. His daughter Clara is 3 now. Walking, talking, full of personality. Lucas is completely present. He works 40 hours, no more. He's home every evening, plays with Clara, reads to her, tucks her in. He's there, fully there, actually there. Emma watches them together and feels overwhelming gratitude. Lucas is breaking the cycle, being the father he never had, giving Clara what he never got. Presence, attention, choice. Love expressed through action, not just words. One evening after Clara is asleep, Emma and Lucas sit together on the couch. Emma says, you're an amazing father. You know that, right? Lucas smiles. I'm trying, learning, figuring it out as I go. Emma says, you're doing more than trying. You're succeeding. Clara knows you. Really knows you. She feels chosen, secure, loved. That's huge. Lucas says, I think about my father sometimes, about how different my life would be if he'd made different choices, if he'd been present, if he'd shown up. Emma asks, do you wish he had been? Lucas thinks about this. Part of me wishes he had been, wishes I'd had a present father, wishes Clara could have known her grandfather. But another part of me knows that his absence taught me presence. His failure taught me success. His mistakes became my instruction manual, so in a weird way, I'm grateful. Not for the pain, not for the absence, but for the lesson, for knowing exactly what not to do. Emma says that's profound, Lucas. You took his failure and turned it into your success, his absence into your presence. Lucas says that's his only legacy that matters. Not his buildings, not his awards, not his achievements. The fact that I'm different because he failed. The fact that Clara has a present father because my father was absent. That's redemption of a sort. Through me. Through her. through all the families Sophia saves, through all the people Raphael warns, through everyone who heard his story and chose differently. His failure matters. It teaches. It prevents. It saves. That's legacy. Strange, backwards, negative space legacy. But legacy nonetheless. I watch all of this and I feel complete. My life wasn't wasted. It was just inverted. I built the wrong things, achieved the wrong things, prioritized the wrong things. But through failing, I taught the right things. My absence taught presence. My failure taught success. My death taught life. To Sophia, to Lucas, to Raphael, to Dr. Chen, to Emily, to Marcus and David and hundreds of others, to their children, to their children's children, the lesson spreading, the warning echoing, the story teaching, generation after generation. That's immortality, not being remembered for success, but being remembered for failure that taught success. Not having my name celebrated, but having my mistakes prevent others from making them. Not being honored, but being used as warning. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. I watched the ripples continue 10 years after my death. Sophia is 33. Her practice is thriving. She's trained other therapists in her methods, created a whole program called Presence Therapy, focused on helping workaholics before they lose everything, before they become me. She's written articles, given talks, spread the methodology, and it works. Families are saved, parents change, children feel chosen, all using principles learned from my failure. Sophia gives a keynote at a psychology conference. 200 therapists in the audience. She tells my story, doesn't hide it, doesn't soften it, just tells the truth. My father was Daniel Andrade, brilliant architect, completely absent father. He chose work over us for 20 years, missed birthdays, broke promises, believed achievements mattered most. My mother finally left him, took me and my brother. We were done, finished, had already grieved him while he was alive. He changed after we left, went to therapy, transformed completely. But it was too late. We didn't want him anymore. He died 3 years into his transformation, alone. Heart attack. 6 people at his funeral. That's the cost of prioritizing wrong for too long, of believing you have more time, of waiting to change until everyone's already gone. Sophia continues. But here's what I want you to understand. His failure became my foundation. His absence taught me presence. His mistakes became my mission. I became a therapist because of him. I specialize in families like mine, in absent parents, in children keeping notebooks of broken promises. I help them. I save them. Last year, I saved 52 families, 52 fathers who were heading down my dad's path, who were working too much, missing too much, choosing wrong. I showed them where that leads, showed them the funeral with 6 people, most of them changed, actually changed, set boundaries, went home, became present, saved their families. That's my father's legacy, not his buildings. The families saved by his failure, the children who have present parents because he was absent, the people who learned from his mistakes. The room is silent. Many are crying. Some are taking notes. All are absorbing. Sophia finishes. Your clients will resist. They'll say they're too busy. They'll say they're providing. They'll say they have obligations. Push back. Show them the cost. Create urgency. Don't let them wait. Don't let them believe they have more time. Some of them don't. Some of them will die before they finish changing. Some of them will lose everything before they wake up. Your job is to wake them up now, while there's still time, while their families still want them, while change can still save something. Don't be gentle when you need to be harsh. Don't be patient when you need to be urgent. Don't enable when you need to confront. Lives are at stake. Families are at stake. Futures are at stake. Do better than my father's therapist did. Push harder. Intervene sooner. Save them before they become cautionary tales. After her talk, dozens of therapists approach Sophia. One woman says, "Thank you. I have a client exactly like your father, working 80 hours a week, family falling apart. I've been gentle, patient, letting him move at his own pace. But you're right. I need to push harder. I need to create urgency. I need to show him where he's heading. Sophia says yes. Do that. Show him the cost. Make it real. Make it urgent. Make him choose. Don't let him drift into my father's future. The woman thanks her and leaves determined. I watch Lucas 10 years after my death. Clara is 8 now. He's everything I wasn't. He's at every game, every recital, every parent-teacher conference. He knows her friends, her teachers, her likes and dislikes. He's present, fully present, actually present. Clara is writing a school assignment about heroes. Lucas sees it and asks, "Who are you writing about?" Clara says, "You, Dad. You're my hero." Lucas tears up. "Why am I your hero?" Clara says, "Because you're always there. You keep your promises. You choose me. You make me feel like I'm the most important thing in the world. That's what heroes do." Lucas hugs her tightly. "Thank you, Clara." "That means everything to me." Clara asks, "Did your dad make you feel that way?" Lucas pauses. Chooses honesty. "No, he didn't. My dad was almost never there. He worked all the time, missed everything, broke most of his promises. I didn't feel chosen. I felt secondary, optional, like work mattered more than I did." Clara looks sad. That must have hurt. Lucas says it did, a lot, but it taught me. It showed me exactly what not to do, what not to be, how not to father. So I'm different because he failed. I'm here because he wasn't. I choose you because he didn't choose me. That's his legacy, teaching me through absence. Clara thinks about this. "So Grandpa Daniel helped make you a good dad by being a bad dad?" Lucas smiles. "Yeah, exactly that." "Strange, right?" Clara says, kind of, but also kind of beautiful. "Like his mistakes became your lessons." Lucas says, "Yes, that's exactly it. His mistakes became my lessons. His failure became my success. His absence became my presence." Clara says, "I wish I could have met him to say thank you for teaching you." Lucas says, "Me too, sweetheart." Me too. That night, Lucas pulls out the box of letters. The 52 letters I wrote him, but never sent. He's kept them for 10 years, but never read them. Tonight, he opens the first one. "Dear Lucas, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if I'll ever send it. But I need to write it. I need to tell you things I never said when I had the chance. I'm sorry. I know that's insufficient. I know sorry doesn't undo 20 years of absence. But it's all I have. I'm sorry I chose work over you. I'm sorry I missed your childhood. I'm sorry I broke 127 promises. I'm sorry I was a stranger instead of a father. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't think I deserve it. But I want you to know I see it now. I see what I did, what I didn't do, what I lost. I see you, Lucas. Not the little boy you were, the man you've become. Brilliant, driven, but different than me. You've learned from my mistakes. You won't repeat them. You'll be the father I wasn't. And I'm proud of that. Even though I contributed nothing to who you are. Even though you built yourself despite me, not because of me, I'm proud. I love you. I always have. Even when I didn't show it, even when I chose wrong. I loved you. I just didn't know how to love you well. Your father, Daniel. Lucas reads it 3 times, cries, then reads the next letter and the next. He reads all 52 in one sitting. By the end, he's devastated and healed and understanding all at once. His father changed. Really changed. Too late, but genuinely. And knowing that matters somehow. Doesn't undo the damage, doesn't make them close, doesn't change their history, but it matters. Lucas writes a response, knowing I'll never read it, knowing it's just for himself. But he writes it anyway. "Dad, I read your letters. All of them. 10 years after you died. I don't know why I waited. Fear, maybe. Not wanting your apologies. Not wanting to feel sympathy for you. But I read them, and they helped. Not in the way you hoped. They didn't make me forgive you. Didn't make me wish you were here. Didn't change what happened. But they showed me you understood. You saw what you did. You took responsibility. You changed, even though it was too late. That matters. Not enough to fix things, but enough for me to say thank you. Thank you for changing even though we never saw it. Thank you for writing these letters even though you never sent them. Thank you for failing so I could learn what not to do. Your failure saved my family. Your absence created my presence. Your mistakes became my instruction manual. Clara is 8 now. She's brilliant, curious, loved. She knows me, really knows me. We have dinner together every night. I'm at her games, her recitals, her ordinary moments. She feels chosen, secure. That's because of you, not in spite of you, because of you. Your failure taught me success. So thank you, Dad, for failing, for dying alone, for being the cautionary tale that changed my life. I'm not grateful for the pain, not grateful for the absence, not grateful for the childhood I didn't have, but I'm grateful for the lesson, for knowing exactly who not to be. That's your legacy, the only one that matters. Rest well. Lucas. Lucas seals the letter, puts it with mine. 2 letters that will never be read. 2 pieces of a conversation that happened too late. But somehow it's closure. Real closure. Final closure. He can let go now. I watch Raphael 15 years after my death. He's 67, fully retired, still speaking occasionally about me, about my story, about the warning. He's at an architecture school giving a guest lecture, room full of students, 22, 23. Hungry and ambitious, just like I was. Raphael tells them about me, about our firm, about my choices, about the cost. He shows them the photo of my funeral, 6 people in an empty room. He says this is Daniel Andrade's funeral. My best friend and business partner for 15 years, brilliant architect, won every major award, designed buildings that will stand for centuries, and 6 people came to his funeral. 6. The students are silent, uncomfortable, confronted. Raphael continues, you're all talented, driven, ready to build great things. And I'm here to warn you. Success without presence is failure. Achievement without relationships is emptiness. You can design the most beautiful buildings in the world and still die alone if you prioritize wrong. Daniel taught me that. His failure saved my family. I watched him lose everything, watched him die alone, and I changed before it was too late. I set boundaries, went home for dinner, chose my family, and my life is richer for it. My daughter knows me. My wife loves me. I'll die surrounded, not alone. That's success, not my buildings, my relationships. A student raises his hand. How do we balance it? How do we be excellent and present? You work smart, not long. You work smart, not long. You say no. You prioritize. You choose people over projects when it matters. You build a sustainable practice, not a consuming obsession. You remember that you're human, not just professional. You live. Actually live, not just work. The student nods, takes notes. Will he follow through? Some will, some won't. But the ones who do will avoid my fate, will choose differently, will live better. That's impact. I watched 20 years after my death. Clara is 18, starting college. She wants to be a therapist like Sophia. She's writing her college essay about her family, about me, the grandfather she never met, but whose failure shaped her father's success. She writes my great-grandfather Daniel Andrade died before I was born. Heart attack, alone in his apartment. Only 6 people came to his funeral because he spent 52 years prioritizing work over relationships, building achievements instead of connections, believing he had more time when time was already running out. He lost his wife, lost his children, lost everything that mattered, and died alone, having transformed too late. I never met him, but his failure shaped my entire life. My father Lucas learned from Daniel's mistakes, learned what not to do, what not to be, how not to father. And because of that, I have a present father. A dad who's at every game, every recital, every ordinary dinner. A dad who chooses me, who makes me feel valued, who shows me through actions that I matter most. Clara continues, my Aunt Sophia became a therapist because of Daniel. Uses his story to save families. Prevents other children from growing up with absent parents. Teaches other fathers to choose differently. She's saved hundreds of families. All because Daniel failed. All because his story became a warning. So what's the legacy of a man who died alone? Who lost everything? Who failed at what mattered most? It's me. It's my father's presence. It's Sophia's calling. It's the hundreds of families saved by his cautionary tale. It's the cycle broken, the pattern interrupted, the lesson learned. Daniel Andrade's failure became the foundation for so much success. So many present parents, so many chosen children, so many saved families. That's legacy, not what you achieve, what you teach, not what you build, what you prevent, not who you were, what others become because of your mistakes. I'm grateful to have never met Daniel. Grateful his story was told, grateful his failure mattered, because it gave me a present father. And that's everything. Clara gets accepted to every school she applies to, chooses the one with the best psychology program, decides to specialize in family therapy like Sophia. The cycle continues. My failure teaching another generation, creating another healer, another presence advocate, another life changed by my death. I watch 50 years after my death. Sophia is 78, retired. She's written a book about her career, about the families she saved, about the methodology she developed, about me. The book is titled The Absent Father's Gift and Lessons in Presence from a Legacy of Failure. She dedicates it to me, to my father, Daniel Andrade, who taught presence through absence, success through failure, and life through death. Your mistakes saved hundreds. Your story taught thousands. Your failure mattered more than most people's successes. Thank you for failing so we could learn. The book becomes required reading in family therapy programs. My story spreads further, wider, deeper, teaching, warning, preventing, generation after generation. I watch 100 years after my death. I'm myth now, legend, the architect who died alone, the absent father, the cautionary tale. Students study my case in psychology classes, architecture ethics courses, business programs. They analyze, they discuss, they learn. My name becomes shorthand. Don't pull a Daniel Andrade. Don't end up with a Daniel Andrade funeral. Don't let your life become a Daniel Andrade story. I'm warning embodied, lesson incarnated, cautionary tale personified. And that's exactly right. That's exactly what I am. What I've always been. What I'll always be. I watch 200 years after my death. I'm forgotten as person. Name lost, details blurred, but the story remains. There was once a man who achieved everything and lost what mattered, who transformed too late, who died alone with only 6 people at his funeral, who became a warning that saved millions. The story gets passed down, gets retold, gets learned. Anonymous now, but still teaching, still warning, still mattering. That's immortality. Not being remembered, but teaching forever. Not having fame, but having impact. Not being celebrated, but preventing tragedy. That's enough. That's everything. That's perfect. I'm at peace now. Complete peace. Total peace. Final peace. I understand everything now. My life wasn't wasted. It was inverted. I built monuments when I should have built relationships. I achieved recognition when I should have achieved presence. I pursued excellence when I should have pursued connection. But through failing, I taught what success never could. My absence taught presence to Sophia, who saved hundreds of families. To Lucas, who gave Clara the childhood I never gave him. To Raphael, who set boundaries and protected his family. To Dr. Chen, who pushed harder with other patients. To Emily and Marcus and David and countless others who heard my story and chose differently. My failure rippled outward, spreading, teaching, preventing, saving. That's legacy, real legacy, lasting legacy. I'm not bitter about dying alone. I earned that. 20 years of choices. 20 years of prioritizing wrong. 20 years of believing achievements mattered most. I earned 6 people at my funeral. I earned the empty apartment. I earned the heart attack with no one to call. That's consequence. Pure, exact, deserved. But I'm not bitter because my death meant something. My failure taught something. My absence created presence. My story saved families. That's redemption. Not the redemption I wanted. I wanted reconciliation. Wanted my family back. Wanted Sophia and Lucas to forgive me. Wanted Marina to see I changed. Wanted my transformation to fix what I broke. But I got different redemption. Redemption through others. My failure becoming their success. My absence becoming their presence. My death becoming their life. I can let go now. Actually let go. Completely let go. No more watching, no more witnessing, no more knowing. Just peace, just rest, just done. The story continues without me. Sophia trains more therapists. Lucas raises Clara, who becomes a therapist herself. Raphael keeps speaking. Dr. Chen's book keeps teaching. The ripples keep spreading. The warning keeps echoing. The lesson keeps saving. But I'm done. I've seen enough, understood enough, accepted enough. My part is finished. My story is told. My failure is teaching. That's all I needed. To matter, even through failing. Especially through failing. I think one last time about Marina, about the woman I married and lost. About 20 years of choosing wrong. About her patience running out. About her finally leaving. About her finding Paul. About her being happy. About her living fully. I'm glad. Actually glad. Not bitter. Not resentful. Not jealous. Just glad. She deserved presence. She deserved someone who showed up. She deserved Paul. She deserved happiness. I couldn't give her that. So I'm glad someone else did. That's love. Real love. Wanting someone to be happy even if it's not with you. Especially if it's not with you. I think about Sophia. About the daughter I barely knew. About missing her childhood. About being a stranger. About her reading my letters. About her becoming a healer. About her using my failure to save others. I'm proud. Actually proud. Not entitled to pride. Haven't earned the right. But proud anyway. She took pain and turned it into purpose. She took absence and created presence. She took my failure and built something beautiful. That's transformation. Real transformation. Not mine, but through mine. I think about Lucas. About the son who documented my failures. About 127 broken promises. About him choosing completely differently. About him being present for Clara. About him breaking the cycle. About him reading my letters 10 years late. About him understanding. About him finding closure. I'm grateful, not forgiven. Don't need forgiveness, but grateful. Grateful he learned. Grateful he changed. Grateful my failure saved his family. That's enough. More than enough. I think about Raphael. About 15 years of friendship and business partnership. About him enabling me. About him watching me self-destruct. About him finally changing. About him saving his own family. About him speaking and warning others. About him carrying my story forward. I'm sorry. Sorry I put him in that position. Sorry he carries guilt. Sorry he feels complicit. But I'm also grateful. Grateful he stayed. Grateful he witnessed. Grateful he learned. Grateful he shares the warning. I think about Dr. Chen. About 3 years of therapy. About 3 sessions per week. About honest, brutal self-examination. About genuine transformation. About changing too late. About him using my case to teach. About him pushing other therapists harder. About him creating urgency. About him preventing others from becoming me. I'm grateful. Grateful he saw me. Grateful he pushed me. Grateful he witnessed my transformation. Grateful he makes it matter by teaching with it. I think about Emily and Marcus and David and all the others who heard my story and changed, who set boundaries, who went home, who chose families, who became present, who avoided my fate. I'm glad. Actually glad. My failure prevented their failures. My death inspired their lives. My absence created their presence. That's impact. Real impact. Lasting impact. I'm ready now. To release completely. To dissolve fully. To become only story. Only lesson. Only warning. I won't exist as consciousness anymore. Just as narrative. As cautionary tale. As warning that saves. And that's beautiful. That's right. That's perfect. I close my eyes one final time. I feel myself fading, dissolving, releasing, becoming. Not Daniel Andrade anymore. Just the story of Daniel Andrade. Just the lesson. Just the warning. Just the failure that taught success. Just the absence that created presence. Just the death that inspired life. My last thought. Before I'm completely gone, before I'm only story, is this. Thank you. Thank you for making my failure matter. Thank you for using my mistakes. Thank you for learning from my absence. Thank you for choosing differently. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Clara. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Dr. Chen. Thank you, Emily and Marcus and David. Thank you, everyone who heard my story. Everyone who learned from it. Everyone who chose presence because I chose absence. Thank you for making my death mean something. Thank you for turning my failure into lessons. Thank you for giving my life purpose even though I failed at living it. That's all I wanted, to matter, to teach, to save, not through success, through failure. Not through presence, through absence, not through life, through death. And I did. I mattered, I taught, I saved, through failing, through dying alone, through being exactly what not to be. That's enough. That's everything. That's complete. I let go. Finally. Completely. Eternally. I dissolve into nothing. Into story. Into warning. Into lesson. Daniel Andrade. The person is gone. Daniel Andrade. The cautionary tale lives forever. Teaching. Warning. Saving. Preventing. Mattering. That's legacy. That's redemption. That's enough. The story continues. The lesson teaches. The warning saves. But I'm gone. Really gone. Finally gone. Peacefully gone. And that's exactly right. That's exactly perfect. That's exactly how it should be. I'm the failure that teaches success. The absence that creates presence. The death that inspires life. Forever. That's enough. That's everything. That's complete. Rest. Peace. Done. End. Daniel Andrade died alone at 52. 6 people came to his funeral. He spent 3 years transforming, becoming someone different, someone present, someone who finally understood. But it came too late. His family was gone. His children had moved on. His transformation happened in isolation. But his story didn't end with his death. It spread. Through Sophia, who became a therapist, saving families. Through Lucas, who became a present father, breaking cycles. Through Raphael, who warned others, setting boundaries. Through Dr. Chen, who taught therapists to intervene sooner. Through hundreds who heard and chose differently. 50 years later, his story was still saving families. 100 years later, he was required study in therapy programs. 200 years later, the details were lost, but the lesson remained. Choose presence. Transform in time. Show up while people still want you. Don't die alone having changed too late. That became eternal truth. Universal warning. Timeless lesson. Daniel's buildings crumbled. His awards were forgotten. His achievements faded. But his failure kept teaching. His absence kept creating presence. His death kept inspiring life. Forever. That's redemption. Not his redemption. Redemption through him. His failure becoming the foundation for infinite success. his absence becoming eternal presence, his death becoming perpetual life. That's enough. That's everything. That's perfect.